too noisy, eh? I'm not waking you up, no. He's been lying there pretty much all day. He might flip over from time to time. He might even get up and go have something to eat and go to the bathroom. Then he comes back. Because he needs to save his energy. For what, I don't know. But anyway. Okay, so how am I going to title this video? It's kind of a bit of a thing. I've prepper oriented and stuff like that. And I think a lot of people have a real misconception of, how they're going to defend themselves in a WROL, that type of thing. Now, good news is in most situations of economic collapses that have been recorded around the world, Argentina would come to mind. There's Ferdinand from Modern Survivalist. He has a really good perspective on things because he experienced the collapse of Argentina once. Even though it's collapsed like 4 or 5 times since then. I think it collapsed like twice this year. So he says most people have big misconceptions of what goes on. He says most, if you stay in your homes most of the time, you don't have to bug out, you don't have to do this, and that is true. It always depends on the situation, but there are places around the world where, when you got to bug out, you got to bug out. Villages are getting slaughtered, burnt down, whatever, that type of thing. Syria, that type of thing where, oh my God, are you okay? Because you're moving. Wow. And keep it down, you're like waking everybody up. That's like, wow, he got some exercise. He walked through the door. Way to go, Gazoo. He moved. Nice. So anyway, so a lot of misconceptions, I think, on how things are going to be. Now, how people are training for this. And again, I'm not making any threats or anything like that. These are just conversations that I like having because I think it's interesting to kind of get into the psyche of it, of, how people perceive things. And I see a lot of guys training for force-on-force, like contact type of thing. James Yeager would come to mind, like his kind of training, you know what I mean? Very military, the guy's ex-law enforcement, he's in the military, all that. And, they train basically, Chris Costa even is another one, where they train, very, very aggressively. Here's how you take the castle and stuff like that. And it's excellent training, don't get me wrong. And I like watching guys like that too. But I'm like, unless you got 50 or 150 or 5,000 guys shoulder to shoulder with their battle rifles and synchronized gear and everything, those tactics will probably just get you killed. No, I mean it. Think about it. You've got one or more marauders that are armed, okay, and they're coming at you. Maybe they're coming after your resources. Who cares what they're, they like your shoes. Who cares? They're coming after you, okay? And you're going to start a shootout with them, or they shoot at you first or whatever. Now, if we look at military training, usually it's kind of a take the castle, hold your ground kind of concept, and stay in the fight until you win, right? That type of thing. But the problem is that usually costs you the the better trained they are, the less lives it costs, but usually it costs quite a few lives. You look at World War I, World War II, and then Afghanistan, the training is much more advanced. And stuff like that. But when people are shooting at you, you pretty much have to get your head down. Now, the problem is again, there's people out there that, should have like 1,000 rounds, 10,000. Problem is ammo goes quick. Everybody knows that. Ammo goes quick. So how many battles are you really going to survive? You're going to be out of ammo, even if you survive. Say you have 10,000 rounds. Most people don't. Okay, well, you're probably going to be out of that ammo, even if you don't use it for training. And if you do use it for training as well, you can be out of it even faster. If you live to tell the tale, And Nothing Fancy covered this in one of his videos called the donors. The people that are all dressed up in the tactical gear, running out there, running and gunning, which is always fun. Don't get me wrong, running and gunning is funny, but it's not how I would fight. Number one, I'd be more like say a German sniper, World War II, that kind of tactics. Just because, I don't want you to see me. I don't want you to, weapons are to be felt, not seen, I don't want you to know where I am, And the other thing is I have more of a philosophy of shoot your way to safety. Who cares if you hit the guy? Just, the suppression fire. If you had to waste 3 shots, 4 shots, 5 shots, whatever it is, to get yourself out of the fight, okay, versus staying in the fight till you get a confirmed shot, what do you think is going to serve you better? The fact, you may have to fight this guy again at the future, but you could, if you're not doing it on your terms, this is what snipers do, is they fight on their terms, right? So, to me, I'm thinking that's probably more realistic of what most people will adapt to. This is what the Taliban has adapted to. This is what the Viet Cong adapted to. Now, the Viet Cong, again, because they moved in massive, massive groups of people, 50,000 guys at a time type of thing, they could do the storm the castle, overwhelm them with numbers, run straight at them. They'll lose a bit of cannon fodder, but other than that, they usually won the battle just by simply overwhelming the opponent. But you're one person, you can't do that, right? So then you have to employ different tactics. And I think, like the running and gunning, which I'm going to be doing it's right now, it's deer season. I don't think there's any deer left on the planet. Although a few of my friends have gotten some nice bucks, but there's just too many. There's like wolf crap all over my property and tracks. And I think they have a den very close by, so there's like no deer here. And throughout the province, the deer is low. But after this weekend, looks like, deer season will be done. I'm going to do some stuff, kind of running and gunning, but kind of how I would do it, more of, like I say, shoot my way to safety, more of like a law enforcement kind of mentality where you shoot your way to cover, rather than, engage, So it's a different mindset. I think it's a more of a survivalist kind of mindset for sure. It doesn't mean you don't learn both techniques, but, and again, I'm not military trained or anything like that. It's just my observations that, if I were, number one, I don't know what the skill level of the opponent's going to be. Maybe he's like X-Forces and he's, maybe the guy you're going to aim at, okay, is just the decoy. I mean? He's probably firing a couple of shots, while the other guys are on your flank and they're going to take you out as soon as you shoot. You know what I mean? That type of thing. So again, shoot your way to safety. I don't care about winning the fight, just get out of there. That's my take. But what I'm seeing, and I think I'm going to agree with the Nothing Fancy guy on this. I don't know what his name is, but everybody just calls him Nothing Fancy. But I think he's 100% correct on it. There's going to be a lot of people donating, walking out in the open. Or, their 5 buddies are going to go here, they're going to go there, searching this building, that building for resources, and they're just going to run into a lot of other good guys that are doing the same thing. And of course, unknown good guys to unknown good guys could be considered hostile to hostile, right? So there's going to be a lot of innocent people shooting each other, going after the same thing. Because again, you have to understand, the second you leave your home to go looking for resources in other people's homes and buildings, you're looting. It doesn't matter if it's justified or not to yourself. It's that you're looting to survive. Okay, so what's a better method? Prepare to survive. Work with your community the best you can. It's a little harder in the cities because most people don't know the name of their neighbors. That's just the way the city is. But the other thing is if you can get some security through, like in a small town like here, people will pull together very, very quick. We'd probably even have people just, volunteer as security patrols. Chances are I wouldn't even need that stuff because just, again, no one's going to come here looking for resources because the resources ain't here. They're going to all head to the city, and that's one thing that Ferdinand picked up pretty well. Another channel that I just, one of my commenters, Canadian Prepper, check out his channel. He's got some good philosophical ideas on there and psychology. I don't know what the guy looks like because he drives around basically with a blackout on the camera. But he does have some really good points and stuff like that. And I was listening to a couple of his videos the other day, and I was like, yeah, I think the psychology of survival and stuff like that. I think you adapt to reality faster based on the circumstance than on the kind of the expectation of what's going to happen. So in other words, you'll train you'll be training for example, like a World War III kind of Red Dawn style attacks and running and gunning, but not train for the the 50 relatives that come up knowing you have food. You know what I mean? The friends and the relatives, the people you won't shoot at. You know what I mean? You don't train for that type of stuff, and that's the stuff. And I've said this for a long time, that you're going to find friends and relatives you didn't even know you had in a real out economic collapse. Why? Because everybody's going to be desperate, and if everybody thinks you have something, well, how do you counter that? Well, the first number one is understand your house is going to get ransacked and looted. Let them take it. So don't put all your eggs in one basket. That's number one. Number two, remain as passive as you can. Be defensive and vigilant, and that way you can evade rather than engage. It sounds, you're just being a wuss or whatever. No, it's just you can only get shot at so many times before you get killed. Again, here's a little experiment that people should try before the next time, especially if you're a tactical kind of guy or whatever, and you go out and you're running and gunning and stuff. Get a bunch of your buddies with some airsoft or paintball guns. Okay, set up realistic scenarios and real world kind of scenario. Wherever you get hit, You get hit in the leg, you're down. I mean, you're not going to be hopping around fighting like Rambo. You're not going to walk it off. You get hit in the arm, you're down. You get hit in any vital area, you're down. All you have to do, okay, is play the game until you get a vital shot, or win the game, or whatever. But until you are hit in a vital area. Once you're hit in a vital area, one shot, that's all. You're out of the game, pack your stuff up, go home, because you just died. And let that sink in. That you're not going to play another round of that game because you just got killed. You're done. You're out. It's final. You're pushing up daisies now. You're feeding the worms. There's little flowers and bears coming along, eating the bumblebees, that type of thing. All because you got killed. Which is, well, it is what it is, right? But, yeah, you got toe tag on you. Yeah. Doing a dance of death. You're basically, swimming with the fishies, see? That type of thing. Okay. But you get the idea. Play until you get killed. Airsoft, doesn't matter. You can do this with airsoft. In fact, I really, really like the idea of airsoft from a tactical point of view. Although I haven't played it yet. I've played paintball a few times. And I do pretty good during paintball. I do fight very smartly during paintball. But I always get killed. I've yet to play a paintball game and not get killed. And usually I get killed within the first hour or so. The last time I played, I got shot maybe 30 seconds into the game. We all start in one spot. We do the scramble, okay? And it was kind of funny because the guy that I kept killing was the guy that kept killing me. We would scramble someone. We'd always end up shooting at each other. And it was a nice big layout too. It was really good. But I got hit right in the pelvis 30 seconds in. Wouldn't have killed me instantly, but a pelvis shot is pretty much a death sentence. You're going to bleed out pretty fast getting shot in the pelvis. And the second shot grazed my shoulder. This was within under 30 seconds of the game. So I would have been wounded out of the game anyway, most likely killed. So that, although it didn't count as a kill because we only went for the chest or a headshot because we had the mask on. And I got that guy good. I got him right in the freaking eyeball at about 50 yards. You can see the paintball doing one of these things. It was like first shot, 50 feet from second shot. We're just at that range where it's you just can't predict it. Third shot, aimed about 6 feet above his head. Bam! Right in the eyeball. He puts his gun up, and then I just nailed him. He goes, I'm dead. I was like, I ranged him now. It was so good. And then when he got me right in the face too. I got one guy. He sniped me out good. I was just about to snipe him out, and he was down. And because I was aiming at another guy that was about to get the flag, I was running to the flag, and I thought I was about to make it because it was basically at this point it got down from 8 guys to 2, 8 guys on 8 guys to 2 on 2, and I was like. I just got one guy, and then all of a sudden, and I didn't see him. He was maybe about 30 yards in front of me. And you know what I mean? And then also, right in the heart. It was perfect sniper shot. I had to go shake his hand. I was nice shot, And then the other one, and again, this is with a paintball gun. Okay, I'm sneaking up and around, and I didn't know one guy had stuck behind a big pine tree. Next thing you know, I didn't see it. If it would have been real, obviously it would have been it. So I got one shot here, and then one in the pelvis, and that basically killed me. And I was grazed maybe 4 times. In a 3-hour span. But technically, I would have been dead within the first probably 30 to 45 seconds of the battle. Something to consider, And again, that's why, and plus, when you're running and gunning, you're going against static targets, right? In the real world, I mean, you're going to miss way more than you're going to hit, especially if it's shooting back at you. And again, usually if, the statistics are, if it takes typically 3 shots, regardless of caliber, it takes typically 3 shots to put the enemy down and game over. This is UN, NATO statistics or whatever. So at that, I mean, if it's going to take more than 3 shots to save your life, chances are you're not going to, doesn't mean you shouldn't train for it. Shouldn't train for it because you never know. You might meet up with a team and then, if you have to, defend the castle, so to speak, you can. But for the most part, I don't think people have a realistic, they're too, well, number one, the first thing they do when they're training, okay, and you've probably seen me doing it in a video a couple of weeks ago with my other friend where, okay, target straight ahead, and I'm just, walking straight forward as I'm moving in on the target. Well, moving in a straight line, number one, is probably going to get you killed. Why? Well, okay, if he's further back, I might hit 2 inches low. If he's coming in a little closer, it makes it easier. I might be 2 inches higher, But you're gonna, the closer you get, the quicker reaction or action is always faster than reaction. But the thing is when you make contact, and I'll do the scenarios, and you'll see what I mean. Rather than try to knock down as many targets moving forward, move sideways, run to cover, hit the bush, And if you're in an open field, because most of the time when people train, they're training in open air, like a range style area where it's open, right? And Okay, but why would you be walking in the middle of an open area in the first place? You see what I mean? Like that's just asking to get sniped out. Why? Because I'm going to be the type of guy that's in the bush. It doesn't mean you're going to get sniped out by me. But if if you're a threat, or say there's the town's like, hey, like 3 people have been killed, but there's these 4 guys walking around. They look like this, and I'm up in the bush, and I see you, and there's no more law enforcement. There's no more police. You're on your own. It's a Mad Max world. Again, I'm not making any threats, just because everybody's a terrorist nowadays. But you know what I mean. We're talking like after the collapse of society type of thing, or law enforcement. They're just not nowhere. There is no more law enforcement or whatever for whatever reason. We're just going to go with the hypothetical. Again, if you fit the description, I might follow you, and then if I see that, okay, well, these guys are breaking into that home. Okay, fine. When they come out, I'm going to take one of them out, maybe 2. And I'll follow them for days. This is what snipers in World War II did. This is what snipers in Vietnam did. They would, follow a bunch of guys and just pick them off. Because the guys have to be from point A to point B, right? And they have to be there at a certain time. So they don't have time to go searching for the sniper. They have to just kind of try to evade him. But the sniper has the upper hand advantage. Because you don't know where he's going to be. Okay, we know he's going to go there. He knows the area well enough that when these guys are moving, they're going to hit this natural land barrier here. That's going to put them right here. When they come there, it's hunting. You know what I mean? That's all it is. So with that said, I think that's just something for people to consider. When I see a lot of, and I guess the next one is always the caliber debate. And this is where I kind of agree with some people and disagree. Yes, 308 is an overkill round for a lot of things and stuff like that. And yes, you can carry more 5.56 than the 308 because it's lighter. But if it's just about lighter and cheaper to shoot, then you're talking 22. And to say, yeah, but the 22 doesn't have any lethality, it's plenty lethal. Again, it also depends on your targets. If you're talking invading Russian military, Red Dawn style, which is a very possibility, maybe not tomorrow, but, that could happen at some point in the future. And they got body armor on. Yeah, sure, 22 is not going to do much against them, and probably neither is 223. And in fact, even 7.62 by 39 or 7.62 by 51 might not even be enough against the body armor. But it doesn't mean it won't slow them down. You know what I mean? The second, again, and this is the part that a lot of people just can't grasp mentally. It's like if somebody takes a shot at you, okay, with a 223 or a 22, okay, or the 5.56, if they're shooting at you with either one of those rounds, if they're shooting at you with the 22, okay, which would you rather be shot in a vital area by? If your answer is neither, well, that's the correct answer. So, to me, if somebody even fires off a round from the 22, people aren't just going, oh, that's just a 22, keep walking. Or, okay, well, let's engage him because he's got a 22. No, they're going to get down, they're going to hit the ground, they're going to stop where they are, they're going to hide behind something, they're going to take cover, they're going to get concealment, or whatever they're going to do. Why? Because, well, unless Darwin effect takes over, then the stupid people will just stand there and static targets ventilate easily. So, so to me, the caliber debate really isn't a big issue because the 22 is more than accurate, even on a windy day, is more than accurate out to 100 yards. Most engagements won't be further than that anyway, unless you're like I say. If you're walking around, you're going to run into things. That's what happens in Iraq, Afghanistan, and stuff like that. It's like they're walking around the corner just as the other guys are walking around the corner. And then it's, oh, crap. But if you're sitting waiting, and you have means of communication, so you got one guy sneaks up ahead, the day before, monitors things and say, yeah, things are good on my end, bring the convoy through, so to speak, then people can move fairly safely. But unless you know what's up ahead, you're basically... it comes down to the quick draw, right? So, that's just my take on how I view it. Again, when I watched a lot of these 3-gun matches and stuff like that, I do like them because they're challenging, and I think it's good stuff to practice. But I think you need to add the other element of from the time you recognize the threat, where do you want to be? Not where are you, but where do you want to be? You want to be away from that threat. You don't want to be engaging it unless you have to, right? So if the guy pulls up his rifle and you have a pistol or a rifle or whatever, you start shooting. Chances are, if you start shooting and moving, your odds are better than just standing there and shooting and trying to take careful aim. Chances are, though, when you start shooting and moving, you're going to miss, but they will start moving and they're more likely to miss, which could be more opportunity to get away. Unless you can get behind something or like a big giant boulder or something like that and just, whatever it takes, or if you get lucky and you get the drop on them, whatever. But they can get the drop on you as well. So it's like, again, why would you move in an open field, if you knew there was a threat around? That said, most people will be moving in open country. Another thing, and this is something that a friend I went to school with was saying, yeah, he says, well, he says, whatever, he says, I got my SKS, I got my food, I got this, I got that, and if something happens, me and the wife are going to go here, here, and here. I said, just be really careful when you're traveling, in the countryside, because I said, yeah, you want to avoid the main roads because there's going to be ambushes all over the roads for resources. Maybe not right away, but like say 2 years after, a major collapse of society, where, everybody's reliant on self-reliance. Obviously, there's people that are just not self-reliant, and their resource is basically to pillage and plunder. So that means, yeah, you're not going to travel on the main highways and stuff like that. Okay, but then there's another problem. If you're crossing into people's private property while all this is going on, that makes you even more of a target. So it's kind of a weird kind of catch-22 where you don't want to be a threat to people and by accident, but you don't want to be ambushed either. So if you're crossing private property, people are probably going to shoot first and ask questions later. You know what I mean? So there's that kind of a thing to consider. How do you move around? If you're not moving around on the main roads. That type of thing. So. I would really put a lot of effort into the training on how to move through the bush quietly. Or even through the city quietly. How would you move quietly? That type of thing. How would you get out of there unnoticed? And things like that. And if you're in the city, have a plan. Let's say you're in any area of the city, not just from your home, but from, say, where you work, from wherever you are. Like, how do you get out of there? What plan do you take? What's the quickest way out of there? Often cars become a death trap. Because everybody panics, and you've always got the person that doesn't know how to drive. In fact, if you just moved slower so that traffic jams wouldn't happen, you could get out. You have to slow down to speed up, but most people don't have that kind of mentality, right? Calm and collected is not in everybody's best interest, or is not in everybody's, kind of psyche type of thing. So, how would you move out of there? I think the cities are going to be more of the problem than anything. The crimes don't really. I'm not saying people won't start marauding from this area to that area. I think you'd see more of an east-west thing here in Canada than a north-south thing, but you might see a lot of people from the north come down. But then again, a lot of people in the north are much more safe. It's just they have to, they don't have as many resources, so it's hard. So moving around becomes a problem. So the point is to limit the amount of movement as much as possible. The best way to do that is be as prepared as possible, and to make sure that your community kind of follows suit with you. And I think a lot more people are getting that, because you have to understand there's going to be a lot of people that, again, it becomes a zombie apocalypse because people are just becoming so desperate. When there's no food in the cities, yes, many will head out of the city. But you have to understand, by the time people get really desperate, by that time the vehicles are out of gas, there's no more gas, being pumped anywhere. Electricity's out, nobody can call anybody, so everything's going to be basically traveling around on foot. So you can set up observation posts all over the place and have all kinds of, a guy with even modest education can set up a telegraph system. It's really not that hard. Learning Morse code, there's something I should do, is a thing on Morse code. Even though the military doesn't use it anymore, it is so handy to use. I kind of forget most of it, but I got books on it, and yeah, that's something I'm going to do, is Morse code and stuff. You guys will like that because you can set it up so easily, and you could just basically have out, if you can't have power, even a phone is really not that hard, like an old-fashioned telephone. You could probably not only make one, but you could find one, just connect it directly from this to that. The phantom power, again, not really that difficult to do, to power the phones. Just look at 1800 styles technology. With the availability of parts nowadays, people can have home, they'll have to rewire things or splice into things, but, a lot of stuff is already there that can be used. So the power goes off, okay, well, people can generate power. However, it's not going to happen overnight, and stuff like that. But people can, you get 5-10 people working on the hydro dam for the community. You get 5 people working on gardening for the community. You get 5 people working on security for the community. You get 5 people, working on educating the young. You can build it up. That's how the towns were done years ago. So you can do that. In the city, it's a little different, but you can still do things like that within your community of the city. A lot of like suburban areas, people can put outposts on top of their rooftops, and just take turns. Okay, you got people coming from here, got people coming from here. That's when you get overwhelmed with refugees. That's the only time you have to really worry. But I think when it comes to the whole, how you train and stuff like that, a lot of guys are training to take the castle and run and gun and stuff like that, which is great. Again, I like that kind of training too, because it's fun and exciting and stuff like that. Tactical shooting is always fun and stuff like that. If you had to do it, you would want to know how to do it. But if you could avoid getting into the situation in the first place, then that requires a different type of training, and that's how to evade everything. And, kind of think more like SAS meets Navy SEAL meets Joint Task Force, and what's the other one? The Canadian, what are they? They're like the JTF, but they're different. The Canadian, they're like a special forces type of guys. And these guys, again, you'll never hear them coming. You won't even hear them leaving, but you'll know that they've been there. That's kind of thing. My grandfather in World War II, for example, he was a commando with the Bandoos, and basically, pretty sure it was with the Bandoos. Anyway, they give him a dagger, his knife, and a pistol, and he would sneak in and into camps and steal documents, and you do all kinds of stuff like that. Crazy stuff. So, how quiet can you be? You know what I mean? Is stuff like that. There's tons of tons of Canadians going into Afghanistan caves, crawling on their bellies with hand grenades and a pistol. You know what I mean? That's how they found the largest ammo dump in history. The ammo cache in history was found by Canadians in Afghanistan. When they blew it up, man, that thing was that was a big boom. But it was a guy basically crawling because he couldn't get a rifle in there. You had to take your pistol in there. You were going to be in close quarters no matter what. So he takes his pistol, crawls in, and is like, holy crap, there's a whole bunch of bombs in here. Which, here's the only problem I have with that stuff, is why blow it up when it's unless it's chemical warfare or whatever, why not use it for training? It's like, okay, well, we'll save our stuff and just train with this, because you get the training and then, do maybe 1/10 of your training with your good stuff. You can use it, and that way there's less to destroy in the end, stuff like that. And again, especially the mortar crews, if they get free mortars, hey, there you go. Well, we'll train with it, but we'll also set it up as extra, instead of having one mortar gun, now we have 60 of them. You know what I mean? So not only do you get to use it for training, but you can use it for, as extra force multipliers. But, it's the way they do it. So anyway, that's just my take on things. You guys tell me what you think about it. Again, about the training and stuff like that. To me, again, depending on how cold it is next week, but there's... I can't go out there doing shooting now because of the being deer season and everything. I kind of gave up because it's just doesn't mean it's just no deer around here. There's not a track, you never know. If you don't go, you can't get nothing, I know that, but I've been out quite a few times and I just didn't see nothing at all, so. Oh, well, maybe next year. I might still go on maybe tomorrow night or Friday or Saturday or Saturday or Sunday, whatever, from the making this, and maybe I'll get lucky and I'll get a 30-point buck, but if not, oh well. But next week I will be trying to finish up my reload data testing I only got one string of reloads to finish, and then I'm done my accuracy testing for my Norenko, and then from there pulling that big fat scope off my big cheek rest, and I'll do some running and gunning with some cheap surplus ammo and stuff like that. Should be interesting. I'm gonna have to set up a bit of a course, show you how I set it up, everything like that. And again, I'm not making any threats against anybody or anything. It's just the way I do things, the way I view things, that type of thing, and also some alternatives to training. And people laugh when I mention using BB guns and airsoft and stuff like that for training, but it's so useful, and the mannerisms are the same. If you get like a blowback action or whatever, mannerisms are the same. You might as well do it, and plus it's quiet, it's cheap. Everybody's always talking about cheap to shoot. Well, you can't get any cheaper than a BB gun to shoot. That's pretty much and going through the skill levels, it's safer. Stuff like that. There's other ammo things that I'll be looking at, such as training ammo, plastic ammo. I don't know how good it is and stuff like that. It doesn't seem to cycle in the semi-autos very well. So the way I'm looking at it is if it doesn't cycle well, then because again, it'd be nice to have a less lethal round so that you don't need to have to worry about the like a 168 grain or a 165 grain bullet. That thing travels far and there's a lot of power in that. So it'd be nice to have like a 10 grain bullet, plastic bullet that they use. Type of stuff. I don't know if I can get the stuff, but if it doesn't cycle the semi-auto, then it's kind of you're not really winning. It's German ammo. I don't know where you get it, but you can get it for pistols and stuff like that. But I can't train with a pistol in the back 40 anyway. So, but I can with a an airsoft or a BB gun. So, anyway, again, go through the scenario a few times, and then of course I got my 22. So I'll be using the 22, and I will be using the Norenko. But the Norenko is more expensive to shoot, so it'll be more limited with that. But it should be fun anyway. And I'll set up a few scenarios and stuff like that. I don't know exactly when I'm going to get it done. Like anything, I've got a lot of ideas, and to keep up to them and stuff like that takes a while. So I guess I'll leave it like that. So again, if you like the content of this channel and you want to support it, there's a donation button below. And thanks for those who've already. I know I keep but I'm very appreciative for who donate. You can check out my WW3 updates page. Facebook page, some good links there. And that one, again, if you anything that's relative to the World War III type stuff, geopolitically or whatever, troop movements, whatever, if you want to post them there, go ahead. And next to that, be true to yourself, be true to others, and always do the right thing. Have a great day, eh? G'day, hi, and welcome. My cat's still sleeping. Hey, Kazoo, I'm not being too noisy, eh? I'm not waking you up, no. He's been lying there pretty much all day. He might flip over from time to time. He might even get up and go have something to eat and go to the bathroom. Then he comes back. Because he needs to save his energy. What I don't know, but anyway. Okay, so how am I going to title this video? It's kind of a bit of a thing. I've prepper oriented and stuff like that, and I think a lot of people have a real misconception of how they're going to defend themselves in a WROL, that type of thing. Now, good news is in most situations of economic collapses that have been recorded around the world, Argentina would come to mind. There's Ferdinand from Modern Survivalist. He has a really good perspective on things because he experienced the collapse of Argentina once. Even though it's collapsed like 4 or 5 times since then. I think it collapsed like twice this year. So he says most people have big misconceptions of what goes on. He says most, if you stay in your homes most of the time, you don't have to bug out, you don't have to do this, and that is true. It always depends on the situation, but there are places around the world where, when you got to bug out, you got to bug out. Villages are getting slaughtered, burnt down, whatever, that type of thing. Syria, that type of thing, where oh my God, are you okay? Because you're moving. Wow. And keep it down. You're like waking everybody up. That's like, wow, man. He got some exercise. He walked to the door. Way to go, Gazoo. He moved. Nice. So anyway, so a lot of misconceptions, I think, on how things are going to be. Now, how people are training for this. And again, I'm not making any threats or anything like that. These are just conversations that I like having because I think it's interesting to kind of get into the psyche of it, of, how people perceive things. And I see a lot of guys training for force-on-force, like contact type of thing. James Yeager would come to mind, like his kind of training, you know what I mean? Very military, the guy's ex-law enforcement, he was in the military, all that. And, they train basically, Chris Costa even is another one, where they train, very, very aggressively. Here's how you take the castle and stuff like that. And it's excellent training, don't get me wrong. And I like watching guys like that too. But I'm like, unless you got 50 or 150 or 5,000 guys shoulder to shoulder with their battle rifles and synchronized gear and everything, those tactics will probably just get you killed. No, I mean it. Think about it. You've got one or more marauders that are armed, okay, and they're coming at you. Maybe they're coming after your resources. Who cares what they're, they like your shoes. Who cares? They're coming after you, okay? And you're going to start a shootout with them, or they shoot at you first or whatever. Now, if we look at military training, usually it's a kind of a take the castle, hold your ground kind of concept, and stay in the fight until you win, right? That type of thing. But the problem is that usually costs you the better trained they are, the less lives it costs, but usually it costs quite a few lives. You look at World War I, World War II, and then Afghanistan, the training is much more advanced. And stuff like that. But when people are shooting at you, you pretty much have to get your head down. Now, the problem is again, there's people out there that, you should have like 1,000 rounds, 10,000. Problem is ammo goes quick. Everybody knows that. Ammo goes quick. So how many battles are you really going to survive? You're going to be out of ammo, even if you survive. Say you have 10,000 rounds. Most people don't. Okay, well, you're probably going to be out of that ammo, even if you don't use it for training. And if you do use it for training as well, you can be out of it even faster. If you live to tell tell the tale, you know. And Nothing Fancy covered this in one of his videos called the donors, you know, the people that are all dressed up in the tactical gear, running out there, running and gunning, which is always fun. Don't get me wrong, running and gunning is funny, but it's not how I would fight. Number one, I'd be more like, say, a German sniper, you know, World War II, that kind of tactics. Just because, you know, I don't want you to see me. I don't want you to, you know, weapons are to be felt, not seen, you know. I don't want you to know where I am, you know. You know, and the other thing is I have more of a philosophy of shoot your way to safety. Who cares if you hit the guy? Just, you know,